Hello everyone and welcome to the show. This is Andy Shed Life. It's Series 8 Episode 3. This one for Sunday the 17th of January 2021. I finally remembered it's 2021. Finally got it right. And before we go any further, hello to everybody who's already there in the chat today. There's already quite a few of you in the chat today. Hello to Jimmy, Dominic, Christopher, Wesley, and Spig021. All there in the chat today. Remember, if you're watching this live on YouTube, get in the chat, say hello, and yeah, okay. We shall crack on with it, shall we? We've got all sorts on the go today. All sorts is happening here today. Christopher says, did I get the email that of the dial that you sent? I did, Christopher. I'll try and get to it in a little while. Fat Hobbit says hello as well. Hello, Fat Hobbit. Everybody's here today. It's all go today. It's been busy, shall we say? Busy. Yeah. I've got the 3D printer going mad, printing the models. We are launching the models at the moment on the old interwebs thing, and the printer has literally just finished printing a couple of coaches, if I can get them off the bed of it. I'll just try and get these off here so I can show you how they actually come out. I could also turn it off and quieten it down. It is quite tricky to unstick. But that's done it. So here they are. This is how they come off, and they're theoretically stuck down when they come off the printer like this. They are theoretically, it says, stuck in place onto what they call a raft. But I can now unstick them, and there's the two roofs. And we've made the roof part of these much smoother now than it was before because of the way that we printed them. Previously, when I was printing the roof, we printed it flat like that, and because the printer goes up in layers, it got lines across when I printed it flat like that. I've got one I can show you. Yeah, one here, I think. It got lines in it like that, you see. But now I'm printing them stood up like that because the layers are all the same size going up, so it just goes up like that, and they come out much smoother. If I can get it in focus. And see, that's how they come out now, and that's how it came out before. So it's all about getting things the right way around on your printer. It's all about getting the print the right way around, kind of thing. But we're winning now. We are winning with them. One of those is a failure because it's not printed quite right, one of them. But I've done two, and the other one isn't bad. But one of them's a failure. It's come out a bit. I don't know if you can see at the bottom there, one corner has warped upwards. This corner here, you see, less of it. So that one's a failure. That one goes in the failure bottom. Look, the failure pile up there. But this is a good one, and this is actually an open coach. If I can show you this, because what we have to do is very carefully pop out the bit. Now what I do is get something that's a little bit raised up, rest the top edge on the raised up thing, then pop out the bit that you're wanting to get rid of, like that. Then you should pop outwards like so. They come out like that. That's left a little annoying bit in there. See, that's got it. And there it is. That's what it looks like when it's popped out. So do the other side as well. There's a little bit of stringing on the print. Not too much though. It's not too bad. Oh, that one came out nicely. That one's come out as well. Again, that's left a little bit in there. Get rid of that little bit that's left in. And it needs a clean up, but there, when it's cleaned up, is your open coach. With its new roof. There you go. So that's one of the things that we've been up to this week. I'm just altered my cameras and that now because it upsets all my cameras, that. Right, so we're getting somewhere. Right, what's everybody been up to in the chat? Dominic says he saw an unusual Mark 1 case on a 1974 746 telephone recently. What was unusual about it, Dominic? It was on eBay, but it sold last week. In fact, I was wondering if it sold for a lot of money. That was on eBay. It didn't go for too much, Dominic thinks. Falbit says, is a lot of sanding required on 3D printed models? No, basically. Not a lot of... Well, it depends how you print them. Depends how you print them, if they need a lot of sanding or not. I mean, as I've just shown you with these roofs, if you print it in the wrong orientation and you get these layer lines like where am I? Like that on it, then obviously you've got to sand those down if you get those lines on it like that, because you have got quite a lot of lines on that, can you see? But by simply changing the orientation that you print the part, there's very little on there. I mean, you know, you can still see lines across it, but it's a lot smoother than that is. So there's not a massive amount of sanding down and stuff like that needed. You don't really need to sand too much. Probably end up sanding and filing a bit less than you would do a traditional plastic kit. It all depends how things, like with plastic kits, of course, it all depends on how the thing is designed in the first place. So I've been tweaking the designs. I've been modifying the designs this week. So some of the designs that I had on the online shop will be slightly changing, because we'll be going from the sort of Mark 1s that are in the shop to the Mark 2 versions with these nice, more shiny roofs on them. So yeah, we're doing all right with them. We're doing all right. Right, let's put that lot back over here. Right, so I've now got a load of stuff. One of the things about this is you end up with a load of scrap printed stuff. You know, a load of scrap from the prints, and I'm looking at ways of recycling that. Dominic says 1974 is very late for a Mark 1 746 case, isn't it? It's a bit late, Dominic. It's a bit late. Yeah. I'm not sure where the Mark II case started, and it's almost impossible to tell, of course, because what you get now is you get phones that have had a Mark II case put on them at some point in their life. So you don't know if they necessarily originally had a Mark 1 or not. I've seen the Mark 1 case at 1971. But you're saying you got a Mark 1 case at 1974, but is it the original case on the original phone? That is the question. Or has that case been taken off something else and put on? Because so many bits have been altered these days. So many bits have been swapped around on things that you never quite know if what you've got is what was originally there. There's no way of knowing, basically. So so it could be an original at 1974, but like I say, it's a little bit late. It's a couple of years later than I would like it to be sure it was original. Let's put it that way. Talking 746s, I've got one down here. This arrived the other week. You see, this is a 71. This one, and this is the Mark 1 case that you're on about, isn't it? Can I get that in on the camera? GNA 71 1, and I don't think I've actually had the top off this yet. The end of it, that's what's on the end of it. The remnants of the original sort of little junction box, and this is interesting because you can see on this how the green and white are jumpered together on this, which is what we do with the blue and white in a conversion now. Can you? I don't know if you can see the jumper in there. Can you see the jumper? So I'm going to do this again, right? There, see, jumper between the green and white there. And of course that's what we do inside the phone. That's one of the things we do now inside the phone when we do a conversion, because of course these junction boxes aren't on the line cords anymore. Now they're just plug and socket. So at this stage I used to use the green for ring on these phones. Now we use the blue, of course, and so basically we now jump the blue and the white together, don't we? If I can find a still of it, perhaps. Yeah, we do. I can show you a still of what we do now. What we do now actually is we kind of jumper the blue and the blue and the white, because if you look at that there, you'll now see with it all converted, you can see there that 19, 18, 17 and 16 are all jumpered together, which they're not in a non-converted phone. I'm just looking if I can. No, I can't find you an image of it, a non-converted one. I was just looking if I got an image of a non-converted one, but Daisy, one side of your bells, if that was unconverted, 16 and 17 would be jumpered. There'd be nothing between 17 and 18, but there would be a jumper between 18 and 19. So that middle jumper, those three on the bottom row, is put in as part of the conversion process. And what you would normally do is, because you've jumpered it all together, now the white goes up, goes in there onto 18, the power goes up through the bell set, through the 3.3 resistor and back on the blue there, which is on 1, 2, 3 on T6, or the other way around, or it comes in on the blue on T6, whichever way around you want to talk about it basically, because it's AC. But that is your bell circuit now, with the white effectively with the blue. So that basically does what is done in this box here. I've not explained this very well, have I? But that basically does what is done in here with that little jumper that you can see in there, if I can get it in the right light. You can't even see it now. Where is it? No, it is there. There's the jumper between those two. And this is the remains of the incoming line cord. You see, the white leg on one side and the red leg on the other side there. And as you can see, green goes to blue in this case. Yeah, goes to absolutely nothing. And now of course we use the blue, but we don't use the green, because with the converted phone, green sits on T15, which isn't connected to anything. So people get confused about the blue and the green, you see, and that's the thing. That's what happens, because when we go plug and socket, we use the blue instead of the green. Right. So shall we have a look inside this and see what it's like on the inside, because we haven't had it apart yet, this one, so we'll have a little look and see what we've got on the inside of here, shall we? Right, do I need my trusty bit of sellotape, or can I get my fingers under? Can't get my fingers in, I need a trusty piece of sellotape. What somebody said to me you can sometimes do is tip a phone upside down and tap on and it comes off. But I think this one's been on so many years that just turning it upside down and tapping on it isn't going to fetch it off. No, I think we're going to have to resort to sellotape on this one. Right, I'll leave you looking at it a moment while I go and find some sellotape. I'm back. Of course, when I said sellotape, other brands of sticky tape are available, they're just not as good. Oh, that's it, I've done it now. Right, so you know what we do, you know the drill by now. You stick that across the middle, so it just sticks onto the opal, what we call the opal in the middle there, and then you pull straight up, and if you get lucky it comes off, and this is not coming off. Right, let's try again. Oh, this is going to be problematic, this one. Thought it was stuck in hard, this. Oh dear. Going to have problems with this one. What's everybody saying in the chat? Don't it say things Dicon cases have number 26 moulded into the ear cap on the inside, and ABS ones have 26A. Not sure if it's 26 or not, but there's certainly a different number moulded into them. Wesley says, I think the jumper would have been omitted when wiring extensions. Depends what you mean by an extension. When low impedance bells were wired in series. Not sure about that one. Dominic says, oh, well, on to my Doctor Who rant from last week. Dominic says, I watched your Doctor Who rant from last week. I agree. I think the show was at its best in the 60s in terms of scripts. And Wesley says, the little device you get for changing GU10 lamps are ideal for taking the dial label covers off. Is that little sucker thing? Because that's what the GPO originally used as well. Christopher says, did the GPO use the same junction box on 746 and 706? Yeah, they did, basically. They used the same one. What was written on the box changed over time, though. I can't get this off. I think it's stuck in. I think what's happened with this, I think it's had some glue got on it at some point, because there's something sticky on this, and I think it's literally glued it on. So we've got to try and get it off a different way. Now this is where we damage the opal if we're not careful. But what I'm going to do is try with a very small screwdriver. And by small, I mean that size small. That is, believe it or not, don't know if you can see it on the camera or not, that is a flat bladed screwdriver. What we're going to do is try putting that in there. And then we're going to try and dig it off. I do not advise you doing this, because you can easily damage the dial opal by doing this. So this is not advised, but when you get one that's stuck, there's no other way of doing it. And this is most definitely stuck. Now what I'm trying to do is dig it, if I have to dig it into the finger wheel rather than the dial opal. And the reason is, it's a lot easier to get finger wheels than it is to get dial opals. But can we get it off? And this one is going to be very, very problematic. I have to turn it around so it's facing me a second. Got it! Got it. And there you see the go and that on it, and I don't think I've damaged it. I think I've got away with it. And this, oh, this is wet. Ew, that's horrible. This label, ew, right. That is not nice at all. That is wet with something. That is really unpleasant, that label. Ew, look. Ew. So that's one label we won't be saving. So I'm glad we've took it. Now if that's wet, has the phone been wet is the next question. What are we going to find inside it? I dread to think, really. Let's have a look. Dominic says he sometimes finds duct tape works on these dials when sellotape doesn't. Yeah, duct tape's more sticky, isn't it? So it might. Right, so we'll take the screw out. Now, noting here that on this particular model, what we've got here is a screw that is countersunk. If you can see that, see it's flat and countersunk, which means you should only fit it to a finger wheel that's also got a countersink in it, because they don't all have one, but this one has. Can you see the countersink in that? Now sometimes you get a screw with a flat back, and if you get a screw with a flat back and you fit it to a countersunk finger wheel, it just pushes down into the countersink and splits the finger wheel. Similarly, if you get a countersunk screw like this and fit it to a finger wheel that's not got a countersink in it, that also pushes down and damages the finger wheel. So that's why you get so many cracked finger wheels, because they've been fitted with the wrong screw. So always look at them very, very closely and make sure you fit in the right screw, or the right type of screw for the type of finger wheel that you've got. That's my top tip for the day. Right, so we've got the finger wheel off. We'll get the little spring off here, and this is very cruddy inside this. I think this is going to be filthy inside this phone. I've just got a feeling about it. Right. We'll now go to the back and take out the screw on the back. Wonder if we're going to find anything interesting inside it. Half-eaten jam sandwich or anything like that. Speak says he normally bends the dial with his thumbs very carefully to get the label cover off if it's problematic. Didn't know you could do that, didn't know that would work. I shall try that next time. Right, we've got the cover off, nothing exciting in the cover, no labels or anything in the Smart 1 cover. And it's not ridiculously dirty, it's very dusty and that, but it's not absolutely ridiculous. I've seen plenty worse. Shall we get the camera down and have a closer look inside? Right, now hang on then, now I've got to figure out which way up my camera is now. Here we are. So here we are. There's all connections on the inside, and as you can see 19 and 18 are jumpered, 18 and 17 are not, because there's your white and there's your green, but of course they are jumpered inside the little terminal block thing. The white and the green were jumpered together in the terminal block, so it's effectively jumpered also across there if you didn't have the terminal block in. So that's why you jumper 16, 17, 18 and 19 when you do the conversion. But this is totally unconverted, as you see. It's got the little unit to stop the acoustic shock between T1 and T2. They are strictly not necessary. They stop the clicks that you sometimes get when the thing is dialing. Sometimes you get loud clicks in your ear if you got it to your ear when you're dialing with it, and that's what that little red thing stops there. But it's not strictly required for the phone to work, so if you've not got it, your phone will still work. And it's not too bad in here. It's dusty, but it's reasonable. What have we got bell wise? 2 500 ohm coils, so it will need a 3.3 kilo ohm resistor putting in. And the dial doesn't look too bad. Right, I'm going to turn it all around again. Oops. Oh, things are falling all over the place now. Dominic says, what do you plan to do about the handset cord? Is it nicotine staining? So the cord is a bit yellowy on it. Not quite sure yet, Dominic. But I'm not sure it's nicotine. I think it's probably just discoloured somehow, because the rest of the phone isn't discoloured now. The dial that we've got in here is not a particularly nice one. It's not the worst one. It's still a 21, I think. But it's not a particularly nice one because it's got all plastic bits, you see. See, this is plastic and that's plastic, and oh dear. And it's dry as dry. Everything in here is bone dry, so it could do with a bit of oil, just a tiny bit of oil on it. But is it working? The main thing to watch and see if it works is to see if these two cogs here, see this little metal one and the one with the funny shaped teeth below it that goes into this worm gear that's on the governor. Well, when you dial in a number, only that little metal one should move. When you go to dial like that, only the metal one should move. There's a clutch arrangement in there, so only the metal one should move going that way, but then when it comes back they should both move, and they both move in both ways on this. But if I do it slowly, you can see the metal one will move without the one below it moving. Can you see? So with a bit of oil on, we should be able to save that. If that's jammed up, that's what makes your telephones hard to dial, when you've got like resistance against your finger in the dialing. So it all looks reasonable. It doesn't look too bad at all. It looks quite sensible. We have got some little markings down here as well. Can't quite read them though. So yeah, it looks reasonably okay. I can't see anything really wrong with it. What does that say there? GGL11 perhaps, upside down? Not sure. Is there any other markings on it anywhere? Not on the front face, at least. Well, not too bad. These pegs are often a bit corroded, so it's not too bad, this particular phone. I've seen worse ones. I have seen them a lot worse. So yeah, it looks like it's in reasonably good nick. So I'm going to put the camera back. It's salvageable, this one. Definitely salvageable. Oh, hang on. Put my camera back so we can see what's happening there. And as you can see, this is absolutely filthy. So there's some cleaning to do on this, but other than that, it's not bad. It should be a candidate for converting and for getting working again. Now, somebody was asking me last week about the little stop thing for engineers, the engineer's switch, so you can simulate the phone being on hook when it's got no cover on and you can't actually balance the handset on the hook. And the engineer's switch is this little thing. These around here now. On different phones, it's done in different ways. But it's this little thing here, okay, this little floppy thing here, because you see, I don't know if you can hear that's the micro switch as I press that down. But as I press the hook down, if I move this switch into place, that then stays down. You see, it's stayed down now. If I flick the little engineer switch, it'll come off hook. Like that, you see, it's off hook. It's back off hook now, but if I put it on hook again, I should be able to hold it down. Like that. And then by just pressing it, that little lever will drop away. Like that. You see? Then it's working again. But that's how they do it on this. Some phones, it's a little plastic thing. It's one of these on some models that goes on somewhere here, that fits on somewhere here, and holds the switch hook down. But this one's got a metal one. I just mention it because somebody was asking me about that last week. So that's basically how you do it. Right, what are people saying? Ralph Caswell Jones is with us. He says plastic is untrusted. He says, yeah, it is. I'm just going to have a look in here, just see what we've got in here. Oh, this is filthy as well in here. Lovely. Got the muck on there. I don't know if you can see the dirt there. That corresponds to the holes in this. Ew. But that's as it should be. The blue and white wires screwed onto the back of it. Have a look in the other end. and it says 4T insert TTL 71-1. So the 1971 on this matches the 1971 on the base of the phone. So it's a fairly safe bet that this is probably the original handset and that on it. So yeah, when it's had a clean up, this will be a pretty good phone. So all I'm going to do for now, though, I think, is I'm just going to give these bits a bit of a wash, and perhaps the finger wheel. In fact, I'll go and let them have a soak in a bit of soapy water a second. So I'll be back in just a moment. I'm back again. Now having given this little lot a bit of a dosh in some washing up liquid, I can now hopefully clean up the bezels. There's quite a big delay on YouTube tonight. I'm looking at the camera down here, which is sort of sending the feedback from YouTube, and I've not arrived back at my seat yet. Oh, I'm just arriving back now. Quite a big delay on it tonight. Don't it? It says TTL is an unusual manufacturer code. Yeah, but it's only TTL in there. What did I say it was under here? G something, didn't it? Under the base, it's GNA. Under the base. So TTL, they may have been a company that only made the inserts, didn't actually make the phones. They just made the inserts, perhaps. TTL, whoever they are. Assuming it is a manufacturer code, of course. That I think it probably is, though. And I did manage to get away with this opal, with not damaging it, even though I had to sort of prise it out with very carefully with a tiny screwdriver. There you go. That's the gunge off it. So there's a nice clean opal. And here, it always amazes me. You get a bit of soapy water. I use washing up liquid and a bit of warm water. That's all I use. Always amazes me how much the finger wheels clean up. Even a finger wheel that you think isn't dirty, when you've given it a dosh in some washing up liquid, it's amazing how it makes it sparkle. Doo-be-doo-be-doo. Fat Hobbit says, what does TTL indicate? Can you tell who the manufacturers were? In theory, yes, Fat Hobbit, you can, yeah. In theory, there's a code between 1 and 3 letters which is a manufacturer like GNA on the bottom, is a manufacturer, a code for a manufacturer's name. I think GNA is Plessey, part of Plessey. I'm not 100% certain. I can never remember because there's so many of them. I can never remember. There, how about that now? That looks better, doesn't it? Much better. Now this is a bit disappointing because this is a little bit damaged. It's kind of gone funny on the back. These are painted on the back, of course. These, you know, they're clear plastic, and the numbers and the background are actually done with paint on this side, and it's gone a bit funny. Can you see how it's kind of blue in places? So it's gone a bit funny, and it's made a mark on the front as well. Now it's not too bad, so I will use it. What you could theoretically do would be to take all the paint off the back and redo it and repaint it backwards on the back. I've never tried it, but I might have to give it a go at some point in the future if I run out of these plates. But I've got quite a few of these at the moment, but I'm going to put this one back in because it's not too bad. This one, I like to keep things original if I possibly can. Right, I'm just catching up on what's written in the chat. Jimmy says, in the 70s there used to be a summer show in Wigan. There was a display of GPO equipment. They had a clear plastic 746 so you could see how it worked. Have you got one of the clear plastic phones? And Speak says he saw one for sale recently. Wishes he'd bought it now. Fat Hobbit says thinks he remembers seeing the clear plastic phones as demonstration models. Now, the clear plastic phones, the clear plastic 746s in particular. Yes, there were some, as there were some orange 746s that were produced as a trial for a new colour, but there were very, very, very few of them. Very few orange ones. Maybe a few more of the clear ones, perhaps, because they did go on these exhibits, on these displays, the clear ones. Now, the problem is, a lot of these clear cases, as Dominic is just saying in the chat right now, a lot of these clear cases that you see for sale, in fact all of these clear cases pretty much that you will see for sale, and this extends to 300 series phones as well, if you see a clear one of those, are 99.999% certain repro ones that were made yesterday. The thing is, there are some very unscrupulous people on eBay who say this is an original component. It's not. It's a modern component made yesterday. Various people have somehow got hold of the tooling, particularly for making 746s, and that and made all kinds of parts over time. The company that's doing it at the moment and is doing it with 706 as well as Britphone, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally fine to make new parts. Where the problem is when you get unscrupulous eBay sellers selling these phones made with new parts as original when it's not original. And these clear ones that are around, there are far too many of them about for them to be original. I see them on a regular basis, and no, I've not got one, because I'm pretty certain the law of averages says if you were to buy one, you will be getting a duff one, you'll be getting a modern one. Now if you want a modern reproduction case on your phone just to show the workings, that's fine. Go out and buy one. But do not buy it thinking it's one of these off this show that was doing the rounds in the mid 1970s, because it almost certainly will not be one of those off that show in the 70s. Speaks says, the one I saw was sold by an antique telephone dealer. If I see it again, I'll ask to examine it. Yeah, I would. Antique telephone dealers, yeah. Yeah. Christopher says, it's rare to find new old stock dials. I found on eBay. Rare to find new old stock dial like I found on eBay for $10 Australian and free shipping. Yeah, that was quite good, Christopher. Depending what sort of dial it was. Dial 21s, these basically, are quite common here in the UK. You know, because there were just a heck of a lot of them. Dial 12s, which are the ones with the metal, all the metal parts and the metal finger wheel, they're the ones to get hold of if you can. But again, you shouldn't be paying more than about 15 quid for a dial 12. You know, if you're paying more than 15 quid for a dial 12, you've paid too much. Basically. Oh, hang on. I always forget to put this back on. This feels rough, actually. These little springs are very often corroded. This one's not too bad. Some of them are red rusty. Not all phones had them fitted. If you get a phone that didn't go to the GPO, if you get what we call a 706 or 746 clone that was sold straight out the factory by somewhere like Ericsson's or something, sometimes these spring clips as a cost saving measure are not fitted, because of course that is held on when you put the finger wheel on anyway. So there we go, that's back on. Oh, hang on, before I put the finger wheel on, I really ought to put the case back on, because it's a lot easier to put the case back on without the finger wheel in place. So let's stuff the case back on. And interestingly, this has got a very interesting thing on the front of the case. I don't know if you can see that, if I can get it up in front of the camera. Oh, are we back? Yeah. The sound had gone, hadn't it? Yeah, I know. Yeah. It always comes back on with no sound. For some reason, it always comes back with no sound. And it's just annoying. The stream is, I've said it before, the stream is well sort of beyond what we can technically do. It should be really. We don't have a good enough internet connection here really to be able to live stream at all. So it's amazing that this show gets to you at all really. But there you go. We've got the sound back now, and we've got everything everything back as it should be. We've got everything back in place on this, and we've got those Hounslow sticker on the front. I've never seen one of those before. If anybody's seen one of those before and knows what they're all about, let me know in the comments. Right, where are we? Everybody was yelling at me in the comments when I wasn't looking at it, going, "There's no sound, there's no sound." Christopher says the dial for the Australian PMG 802 and the PMG 891 wall phone. That's the dial that he's got. So it's a local dial to Australia. So he's done quite well to get that. Dominic says, "Do you know what Hull used for phones during the 60s and 70s? Was it a 700 clone or something like a 700? I'm not sure. I have seen Siemens phones, what some people call the horseshoe phone, which is similar but not the same as a 700 series. I have seen one of those once advertised for sale and was told it was from Kingston upon Hull Telecommunications, or whatever they called themselves at that point. So I don't know if they used those. You know, or if it was Ericsson phones, Ericsson N1900s or something like that, perhaps. But I don't know exactly what they used, and I certainly don't know what colours they had up there. Of course, Kingston upon Hull were famously the UK's only kind of private telephone operator. I think it was originally the local authority that ran it, and they had cream phone boxes there. A friend of mine lived in Beverley, and whenever I went to see them in Beverley, I always noticed that there, because they're sort of next door to Hull, they'd got cream phone boxes as well. Exactly the same phone boxes. You know, the standard GPO phone boxes, the K6s or whatever, but cream instead of red. Christopher says he's got a 706 with a dial 12. Yeah, they're quite nice. Is it a 706 though, Christopher? That's the question. Because not many 706s had dial 12s. Only the very, very early ones from sort of 1959-ish or maybe 1960. Where the dial 12 did survive a lot longer was in the 706 clones that Ericsson made. You see, you get a lot of Ericsson N1900s and that with dial 12s on because they were using up the old stock of dial 12s, and the dial 12s were seen as old and not in spec by the GPO by the mid 60s. So Ericsson had always got a stack of these dial 12s that they needed to use up, so they were just sticking them on their own stuff. But for my mind, the dial 12 is a much better dial than the dial 21. Much better. Chris says yes, it's stamped GPO 1960. Yeah, is that the dial that's stamped GPO 1960 or the phone? Because just because something is stamped GPO does not necessarily mean it was ever delivered to the GPO by the manufacturer. Because I have got phones here that were never part of the GPO. I've got things like Ericsson N1900s and that were sold out onto private systems by Ericsson, but when you take the phone apart, inside some of the components, inside like the capacitors and things, are stamped GPO, batch sampled, and a date on them. But they will never were for the GPO, and the reason for it is that companies like Ericsson had a big production line, stuff going for the GPO. They're stamping all GPO on it and that, and then somebody wants a phone for a private system, and they've got another line with N1900s on, but maybe they run a bit short of N1900s, you know, because they're not making so many, and they think, oh, we've only got 99 N1900s ready for this contract for this company. We're installing all the phones, and we need 105 N1900s. We've only got 199 of them. And so somebody then at Ericsson goes, well, we'll just go and nick 6 706s off that line over there, and we'll make an extra half dozen of them for the GPO, ready for when they want them. But you go and get our private contract out now, and just put 6 706s together with the 99 N1900s that we had got. So stuff marked GPO didn't necessarily go to or now come from the GPO. That's what I'm getting at. Christopher says, are you going to show my dial? I'll try, Chris. This is where it'll mess up though if I'm not careful. Right, just bear with me one moment, and we will try and show the dial. Right. Just a moment. Right, I've just got to do a few different things here. Right, we're getting there. Just bear with me 1 second, and we'll try and find it. Right. So where are we? This is probably going to come out on its side though, Christopher, because for some reason your photographs always seem to come out on this side. Right, we'll try this. Right, we're getting there. Right, just bear with me a second, Christopher. I'm just trying to find it out my email. You see, I wasn't really prepared today, was I? I just wasn't sort of ready today to do this. Am I ever prepared? Right. Okay. Right, I think we've got it. Right, so this is what Christopher has sent me. Well, sent a photo off to me this week. It is this, which is a dial. There, you see. But what I'm not sure about is how this works. Or is that just the case it comes in then, Christopher? This green thing, is this the case it comes in? Because if it is, that's very impressive that it comes in a green plastic box like that. Because our dials here just basically come in a manky old cardboard tube. That's all the dial 12s and the dial 21s came in. Basically a cardboard tube with cardboard ends in it. They didn't come in a nice flash green case. And there's the phone that the dial goes in. And it says, "Hi Andy, this is my new old stock PMG dial pod. They made for phones in the 70s. The phone in the picture is the type they used on if the phone dial is broken." So they put them in this green thing to send them back to the manufacturer. Is that right? Fat Hobbit says, "I wonder if it will be possible to set up a new private telephone service in the UK now." Yeah, Fat Hobbit, basically it is. It's called CNET. And I have had it set up here. It's down at the minute here, but I have had it set up here before. These Australian dials, Chris, remind me very much of some European ones. Very much. But there you have it. Right, I just realised I've got this silly top chat on instead of the live chat again. So Chris says yes, it does come in the case. So this green case is what they supply the dial in, so it doesn't get damaged. Far better than the manky old cardboard tube that the GPO and BT and that supply dials in. Dominic says he'll have to get in on CNET at some point. Yes, you will, Dominic. Definitely. It's definitely worth a go. I've had it set up here. It's down at the minute because I'm doing some work on it. I've had it down for quite a while now. I need to get it back up and running again. But yeah, basically CNET is a private telephone system. It uses little boxes to connect all these old phones together, and some people old exchanges together, because some people have got old exchanges and sort of in the garage and stuff, and all around the world they're all connected together. The only difference is, instead of there being any copper wires actually connecting all these exchanges and all these phones together, it's connected via an internet connection instead of the copper cables. But all the actual infrastructure, all the phones and the exchanges and that work in the original way. It's just that there's no copper connecting them together. You just have a little box that plugs into your internet and goes between your phone or your exchange or whatever and the internet, and that's what connects it together. Christopher says some phones made in 67 to 69 had 746 type dials. Yeah, dial 21s. On that type of phone, or on a 746 type phone. Because I wouldn't have thought a 746 type dial would fit onto that type of phone, unless there was some kind of clever thing for it to fit into. You know, some kind of clever adapter. Right, looks like we've caught up in the chat. mega. Right, and the stream's still going, which is brilliant. Oh, Chris says on the Australian phones. So the Australian phones had British dials fitted for a while. That is very interesting. Interested to see how they did that, how they fitted it. Did they have the bezels around them as well then, like that bit? Did they have that bit around them as well? Right. Okie dokie. I think we're getting there. Crikey, we've been on for like an hour and how long? An hour and 20 minutes or so, something like that. Hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes. Yeah. So that's about it for today. That's about as far as we go for today, because that's about all I've done for today. I've not been very productive just recently, getting stuff done. Have you noticed? It's not been so good just recently. I need to get my act together a bit more and get more things done. Sorry, I'm knocking the happy home apart now. I'm knocking stuff over. Yeah, so we need to get my act together. I'm waiting for some batteries at the moment as well. I'll put this 746 to one side again. I'm waiting for some batteries at the moment as well. Because you may remember last week we were doing this and we took that manky old battery case out of this, because these have a battery to power the pulse dialing for the keypad. The batteries are all dead, of course, after 30 or 40 years. I have got some batteries on order to replace those dead batteries. They're not quite the same, but hopefully they'll do the same job. So what I'm hoping is that hopefully they'll be here by next week. So next week we might get this going. It'll be the first one of these that I've ever had going. What number are they? I forget. 764. Now 764 is there. So if we can get it going with these batteries next week, then I'll show you how we do it. So if you've got a 764, you can get it going as well. Oh, and another thing before I go as well this week. Another thing. A box arrived. This is down to one of you, I'm fairly sure, but I don't know who. A box arrived this week. No clue as to who it's from, other than on the bottom is a sticker that says it's from Guysborough. TS14. Guysborough. So is it one of you guys this? With this? Because it arrived with all sorts. It really threw me, because there were all sorts of things in this box. There was this in the box. There were these in the box. There were these in the box, which are absolutely fascinating, which I've yet to investigate. And there was a little flashy keyring in the box as well. It can really drive you mad, that can. So there was a little keyring in the box. There were a load of earplugs in the box. These are little earplugs in here. There was a watch in the box, which is actually a surprisingly good watch, and I have seen these for sale for not a lot of money. It's sort of in the pound shops, in discount shops and that, these watches. And you think when they're in the pound shop and that, you think, oh, they're going to be rubbish, aren't you? But this one actually is a pretty good watch. You know, it's quite heavy when you actually pick it up and take it out of the box and that. So that arrived in this box. And these, which are vinyl record coasters. Now, we've been having a bit of a a bit of a ponder here as to whether these actually genuinely are vinyl records or not. Because they have got grooves on them. Now, they're sold as coasters, but they have got grooves on. And what I'm wondering is, are these real grooves? Is there real sound on these? Or not? So I may have to try it. But so they arrived in this box as well. Keep trying to readjust my cameras today because I keep going out of focus. So they came. Okay, yeah, fair enough. They were in the magic box. But also in the magic box was this. Now I know you're going to ask me what it says on the bottom. There's a tiny little sticker and only half of it current that says 5396 on the bottom of half of a sticker. Alright, but look at all these terminals and things on the back. It is obviously the very basic ground chassis of a 706, but then there's all sorts on it, and this weird rotary switch, or remains of a rotary switch, and then there's this that goes on it. It says intercom, local and remote, which kind of fits on there somehow like that. So where did this come from? It must be one of you guys. Thank you to whoever it is who sent it. But it must be one of you guys that sent stuff to me before. But I have no idea who. So thank you to whoever it is. And we're going to try and find out what this is. Because it's really thrown me for a loop, this. I've got no idea what this is. I've seen phones turned into intercoms and that before. You used to be able to buy two 706s turned into an intercom, buy them from the old telecom shops, but this is not them, so I'm not quite sure what we've got here, what we're dealing with here, but it will be interesting to find out. I dare say it will be an interesting exercise to figure out what that is. Dominic in the chat says, are you having pizza tonight after this stream, Andy? I ask because I'll be having one tonight. I've had it, Dominic. Already had it before I came on. I was a bit more organised today. Dominic says he's having Aldi pizza. I think mine was an Asda pizza tonight. Christopher says maybe this is a railway phone. It could be, Christopher. It looks like it was originally grey, doesn't it? Because we've got the dark grey of the GPO two-tone grey on here. So it looks like it was grey, whatever it was. But it's just got a phenomenal number of connections on the back of it. There's cool connections on the back of there. On this, which is sort of bolted down to the base. It's really, really peculiar. I've got no idea at all what it is. No idea at all. It's one of those things where we'll have to figure out what it is. I'd quite like to rebuild it, whatever it is, if I can get the bits to rebuild it, but I've just got no idea what it is. None at all. Never seen anything quite like it. Like I say, I've seen phones converted to intercom, but they normally still have the dial on them. But what this is, I have absolutely no idea. Christopher says he's seen one in the Australian Railway in a signal box. What, one of these? One of these? You'll see one of these in the Australian Railway. Take a picture, Christopher. I need to see what a complete one looks like. Because I'm just fascinated to find out what it is. I've got absolutely no idea what it is. Thank you to whoever it was sent them. And all the other bits and pieces as well. But I've just got absolutely no idea what this thing is. None whatsoever. But thank you anyway. Right, that does just about wrap it up for today. Crack it, 7:30. We started at 6 o'clock. We'll be back next week around about the same time, same place, with another episode of Andy's Shed Live. If you've got any questions or anything that you want to ask us, if you've got the email address already, then drop us an email. If you've not got it, I don't give the email address out on here because when I do, I get loads of spam because there's some sort of bot that searches YouTube for email addresses and then deluges you in spam. But if you use the contact form on here, andyshed.coldpress.net, and send me a message, then I'll send you a message back with the email. So you can then send photos and that. You can't send photos and stuff with the contact form, but when I message you back with an email address, then you can send photos and stuff to that. 1 or 2 people have sent me things asking me about repairing phones and that just recently. If you're one of those people, I've got your messages, thanks very much. I'm just after bits of information. There's 2 or 3 people who have asked me about repairing phones and stuff, so I'm working on it, but one of them's a Swiss phone and I'm needing to get some information on it myself before I can tell you the answer to the question that you asked. So yeah, that's the website anyway to go to, and for back episodes as well, andyshed.coldpress.net. And remember, if you're interested in the model railway stuff, you can find it here, andysemporium.coldpress.net, and there's a few phone spares and things on there as well. Notably, some brown Yeoman 746 cases and bits. If you need anything to restore a Yeoman, which is a fairly rare colour, that Yeoman brown, we've got some bits and pieces in the shop there, Andy's Emporium. Okay, dokie. Right, and meanwhile, I will spend the week trying to figure out what this is, because I really haven't got a clue. So that's about as far as we go for this week. Thanks to everybody for tuning in today. Just quickly before we go, I'm just looking at the chat. Christopher says he doesn't remember what station the phone was on. I think it was 270 station on the Australia Railways in Victoria. Right. We'll figure it out. If you find this, Grace, I will complete one of these. Take a photo, please, because I'm dying to know what it actually is. But that is about as far as we go for today. Thanks very much to everybody for watching. Sorry about the dropout in the stream a little bit earlier on, but at least we managed to get it back now. I think I've managed to tweak my YouTube settings so it can actually come back when it does drop out now, which we couldn't do at one stage. So we'll see you next week. Have a great week ahead and watch out for another little video that might be dropping in the middle of the week. Nothing to do with telephones or railways, but has got a little bit of something to do with old canals and that, and something very exciting about the Chesterfield Canal that's just happened. So that video will probably be dropping middle of the week. But from me, for now, until next week, see you soon.